All right, welcome to T4's Garage. This is the Chase preview video. I'm Chris Huerta. I will be leading this whatever shindig. To my right is Taylor Hayes, championship contender, and to my left is Andrew Brown,
I'm not even relevant.
team captain. So, for those of you who don't know, we put together the Chase last year just as a way to make the championship race a little more entertaining. This year, obviously, there's a lot of different title contenders. But what I first want to go over, let's first go over the guys that are returning 16, and also our newcomers. Taylor, do you want to talk about who you see as guys that are threats that are returning?
Looking at it, talking compared to last year, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of change necessarily. We might have a couple more added in there. Like I'm looking at the names, you've got the John Kimbrells, the Logan Calvins, who actually was not participating in it last year because it was a partial season. Sergio Bravo, Adam Nagao, Miles Calvin, Wes Dent, Darren Mercer, Bill Krieg, and Bruce Allen. There's your top 10. And then I'll let Chris go ahead and kind of go through everyone else that may be considered spoilers here in this little chase that we're doing.
Well, Andrew, let's talk a little bit about let's talk about the back six guys. You have Diego Morales, who wins.
He races Senna.
Who wins all the time, at least once a year it seems like. You have Jose da Silva.
He's Brazilian.
You have Justin Tolman.
I don't know what he is.
You have Alyssa Yanni.
Go on.
There was an obvious comment for that. You have Kirk Feldkamp, and you have the last person to get in the chase, which was Ben Blank.
He has a pretty good taste in metal. I think that's fantastic. His taste in music. I remember he told me about the first time I saw Mastodon last year. He was the first person to notice my shirt. I went out to them. I hugged him. It was fantastic. It felt great.
Let's talk about the one guy who's actually not in the field, but if he does show up, he will be the Jeff Gordon of the chase. He will be the 17th member. That would be Mr. Perfect Aaron Downs. Taylor, do you think his absence makes a significant? Does it change the way that the field ends up in the end?
It very well can, because Aaron's definitely one of those peaks and valleys type of drivers where he could easily make the final round, or he could easily have a struggle and be out in round one.
Now this year's chase, we have knock on wood, we haven't had any issues with weather. We've gone through the 8 rounds very smoothly. Besides round 2 and thanks, Matt. Besides round 2 and the raining out the A main, we've had a lot of very good racing. Andrew, can you talk about how the A mains have at least looked from a spectator's point of view? Has it been good racing?
You spectated the last round. Because you've seen it.
Thanks.
See, I don't have to worry about that because I didn't run. They've been pretty interesting, especially the last race. We saw a very clear pecking order very early, and it was Eichlin, Bravo, Hayes, Miles, and who was the fifth? Kimbrell started to get in there eventually.
Yeah,
and it was Connell, I thought.
Connell was in the top 10.
Yeah, Connell's up there.
So either
Krieg was up there
okay.
too.
The last few rounds, it's been pretty much, except Eichlin and Krieg's been in the top 10, but 8 to 10.
And Eichlin's running a partial season.
Yeah, and when he's here, he's in the A main, and he's competitive.
But they've been pretty much the same guys, always there, and it's gonna be interesting. I don't know who's gonna take off this next round. We could have Downsy come back and he's gonna be pole, win a heat, and go, and he's gonna be like, "Oh, I scored a perfect day again."
Yeah,
because that's what he does. He comes and he just blisters the field.
And we
got Logan coming back, and that's gonna be even more interesting because we didn't have Logan last round.
We didn't have Logan or Darren last round.
Yeah, or Darren. Darren's somebody.
And Darren is our defending winner of the chase as well.
Correct. We do need to toast to Darren. Let's talk about the chase format. So it's basically the last. So it's the last 4 rounds. after each round, we eliminate the 4 drivers with the lowest score, lowest point score. We have Classico counterclockwise, Technico, Grande counterclockwise, and Grande. Those are our 4 remaining tracks. And in the last race, in the finale, the last 4 drivers, it comes down to whoever finishes highest in the A main. They get the coveted 6-pack of beer, which is the trophy. To me, that favors a driver who's very consistent. Taylor, can you talk about a few drivers who you see that have that consistency to keep themselves away from bad days?
Well, other than myself, as looking at it, the only driver this year that's been in the top 20 in every round. Granted, that does include some guys that have missed a few rounds. But in general, I mean, myself, looking at Adam Nagao, who's only had 1 round out of the top 10 overall this year, he's definitely Mr. Consistency of everyone.
He is.
I think he could be one of the big surprises if he can just go through the first 3 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Wes Dent as well. He's been pretty on it all year.
I forgot about him.
Well, he has been out for a couple rounds.
Exactly. So it'll be good. It'll be good to have it. We are going to have all 16 drivers. That's confirmed as of today. We'll have all 16 participants. So that should make for very interesting day, especially when it comes to A main time. That's when you see a lot of points fluctuate. So the tracks. We're going technical. Classical counterclockwise, which we've only run a couple times. Grande counterclockwise, which is a favorite of many drivers, including this one to my right. Grande, which is a finale.
That track too.
And then I think the wild card is going to be Technico. It's a track that we haven't run very often.
We have not run an A main on this
correct.
year.
That was what I was going to point out. We did not run the A main, and that was actually.
Oh yeah, rained out.
Yeah, that was actually.
Yeah, they made this weird decision about that.
That was actually what I was going to bring up. Was that A main was setting up to be fantastic. You had some guys in the front who had never been. You had some really experienced guys towards the middle of the A main pack. Are these tracks that this is for both of you? Are these tracks that passing is going to be contentious as compared to like Classico, which last round we saw a lot of great passing. But is this going to play out to be more of a pure driver's track, a pure driver's schedule?
I think the first 3 rounds are definitely going to come down to getting good heat race finishes in, especially having a good day in there. Grande being the finale. We saw it a lot at the last day of Grands this year. That's a huge wild card, especially because that is going to be the easiest track to pass on, and it's going to be the last round of the year. So I think there's for sure going to be some fireworks there. I think the first 3 rounds.
Yeah,
That's really cool. I didn't know they were going to do that.
They're going to be literal fireworks.
Literal
I
fireworks.
think that's great. That's a great idea.
And let's talk about racing on counterclockwise tracks compared to just regular direction.
Well, it all depends on your cart. You know, some of these tracks are going to be very cart dependent. How you yaw them out, how you get them bounce around those corners. We've seen some drivers very fast, but when they get that wheel hop, they're going through corners just hopping out. You get that turkey walk, and when they get that, it's very hard to drive through the field. Some of those guys just push too hard, and the rears are just carving out. It's like a porpoising.
Does that,
I don't know.
okay.
I don't know.
Does that favor any particular driver? I mean, let's say for example, is there a guy that tends to run very well in a counterclockwise as compared to a regular direction? Is that a guy that is that a more experienced thing, or is there anyone in particular on at least in the field that you look at?
Well, let's look at me. I have a lot of racing under my belt. And I have a lot of experience. A lot of about like 5 A mains. That's a lot of A mains I've come with, and going through those races, I was always better on the counterclockwise versions of them, except for this year where I was complete garbage. And I think it was like reverse Classico Technico. It was horrible. I felt like I was going to shoot my nuts off. And
So you're not a whole lot different than Michael Walker.
No.
Ooh.
He's just about a foot shorter. Just about a foot shorter.
Yeah, he's pretty tall. So I wouldn't compare myself to Michael Walter. I'd compare myself to Ricky Stenhouse. He's
That's-
pretty
You're,
terrible.
wait,
That's
so
fair.
your type of woman is Danica?
Oh, no. Anyways, now we've gone off track here. I don't want to start thinking about those kinds of things. Unless I grew a mullet, then we could get there. I don't know. I don't know what drivers it's gonna. I think certain drivers that I see struggle with some. One driver that comes to mind, not necessarily up there, but he's just an example.
Mhm.
Is a part.
Correct.
I don't know why, but that's just somebody who when he. I feel like it is the reverse tracks. That when he gets there, there's some whatever reason there's a lot of wheel hop. They're going through those corners so fast. I mean, they're so fast that they just
Yeah, that's a great point. Let's talk about the first track. We have round 9, the field of 16. Obviously, the lowest 4 get eliminated. Classico counterclockwise. We first ran that at the finale of 2013. Our winner was Sergio Bravo. He also won Sergio Bravo. He also won the championship, a former champion.
Who's that?
That round you had a lot of different guys. The championship was up for grabs. Is there?
And somebody made a really bad move. I remember that race.
That was myself. Sorry, Casey. We just had an Ironman on the track. Taylor, you were on the podium for that.
Correct.
You finished second.
Again.
You had a great run.
Mhm.
Let's talk about the guys who looked really strong coming out of the Ironman, because they're going to be the guys who have had the most experience that are in this field.
Yes. All right. So we'll talk about the Ironman. Looking through this list, the guys that ran it: John Kimbrell, Sergio, myself. 3 of the top 4,
Correct.
and then you have to go down to
Jose and Jan.
12th, 14th, and 16th.
Mhm.
So the whole middle of the field has not run this track since late 2014.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's going to be a big adjustment. This year, we actually only ran, compared to last year, we only ran the S's once at Grands this year.
Correct. We ran it on Technico, which was
Technical
Friday.
Friday.
Ugh.
It was a rough day.
So, a lot of these guys haven't been through the S's backwards since June.
Well, let's talk about the guys. Let's talk about the guys that look strong. It's obviously you and John in the front.
Yes.
Sergio moved up. He ended up with a top 10. Blank
Yep.
had a top 10, and then you have a couple guys that had a little bit of struggle. Well, we do need to acknowledge that Alyssa Yanni was the only one to run the sprint series as well,
Mhm.
and she had a great day. She finished second.
Yeah.
Do you
By
think?
only, 15,000?
Yeah, I mean right there, very impressive. Do you think? Do you think it makes a difference, or do you think that the mid pack guys, we're talking about like Miles and Adam, Darren, Bill, Bruce? Do you think those guys are going to be able to pick it up very quickly? Was the track very different on a couple Saturdays ago?
It honestly felt to me it felt a lot better than it did at Grands. For the most part, the track wasn't as grippy. You could kind of slide the cart around a little bit. But it was definitely a driver's track. You had to get it right. If you got it wrong, you would get that wheel hop. You would overshoot the corner.
I was talking about that porpoising.
Yeah.
Did they get?
But yeah, basically everyone that ran the Ironman looked really strong. They're not going to have to take that same amount of time to pick it up. They're going to be straight up to pace. I don't think that it's going to take any of these guys. Obviously, they're all front runners. They're not going to need more than that 10 laps to figure it out. Whether they're going to be able to figure out enough for a green, white, checkered qualifying, I don't know. But for sure, by their first heat race, I think any of them with the right circumstances could go on and win them.
And let's talk about some guys that you think could look really good in this next round. Some guys who may not have made the chase, but who definitely have the ability to not play spoiler, but at least.
Well, you're not playing spoiler if you make another C, man.
That's correct, but at least can put themselves in position to take some points away and push some of these guys farther down.
Number 1 is Downsy. If he
Sure.
comes back, he's gonna, there's nothing wrong with that, but he will be one to take points away.
Because remember, again, his perfect day was on a counterclockwise track.
Correct.
He just brings it. From where? We don't know. But somebody like Morales, Diego, he's gonna come out. And I know he's in the.
He's in the chase. Yeah.
He's in the chase, but he could mess something up for those top guys. And I can't really think of anybody else who outside of the top 20 is somebody that could really get in there.
Well, you have some guys that
Eichlin.
Eichlin could do it. Aaron
King-
Scott had
Jared-
himself an off season that
Jared King could get up there.
yeah.
Connell was fifth in the Ironman.
Yeah, he looked pretty strong. He had some
Who
pace.
won sprint? I can't remember who won sprint.
Ariel
Rubio.
Rubio looked really good. He had some struggles in the Ironman,
But he was for the most part pretty fast. He
Yeah.
unfortunately wrecked in turn 1.
Yeah, he got caught up on.
He did win a heat race on Technico last year.
Let's talk about the one guy that it's going to be his first run at CalSpeed. He is a former champion, and he does have
What championship did he win? Trans Am?
I think
Garbage?
I think he
He
won.
did win a Trans
He
Am.
did.
He also is a Daytona
that's
wholesaler.
right.
Yeah, that's correct.
He did.
He is a Coke Zero 400
And he has a large group of fans, the Sed heads.
Yeah.
You know what, Andrew? Let's talk about Boris Sed.
You're a big fan of his.
Exactly. Let's talk about your feelings.
My big
your
fan. I don't even know
excitement.
he won a Trans Am championship.
Big fan, please respond.
Yeah. Hi, Bob. Please help. Bob Packers. Yeah, he's good. He's gonna be interesting. You know, I forgot what he's even doing. Who did he drive for this last?
He
Irrelevant.
He drove for KBM.
He's
He
driving
drove-
a Kyle Busch car.
Yeah, he drove
Right.
KBM.
He's some good equipment.
He'll be in the same equipment as the rest of us, though. This
Yeah.
Saturday.
So you know, I don't know. I mean, I feel like he could A-main. Where in the A-main? I don't know. It's just gonna be really tough to top 10 because you guys know so much about what you're doing. You know, the only guy who's come out here that's never driven these things before and won was Mackley. And I know
He's
everybody brings
he's
him
another
up,
god,
but
yeah.
he's that's beyond. You know, he's really good.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, looking at a few of those guys that have come out in the past, do you think he can put the same kind of performance in that, say, a James Davison, a former Indy 500
yeah.
rookie,
Yeah.
that he A-mained his
Or
first
even
time out?
even Nick
And
Hay. He was in the A-main every time he came out. And was it 2013?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's true. I don't know about Davidson. Davidson's, you know, young, got a lot of raw talent in him. And I think, you know, Boris said, being a fan of his, he'll top 20. But it's if he adapts to that racing. Who knows? He could come out and just be fast as hell. I don't know. Because it's so how people adjust to it. You know, Davidson, like I said, has a lot of raw speed to kind of dig from. It'd be like somebody unless somebody's like a F1 driver would come out, like I could see them being in the top 5, just because
Yeah.
they're so good. But this is, you know, he's a guy who's in, you know, the end of his, you know, partially the end of his career.
He's past his prime a little bit.
Yeah.
The real question is he looks like he's a guy that's gained a little bit of weight. Is he going to be over 200?
I think he'll be about 200.
Yeah, I mean, he's tall, but he's
Pretty. He's not that.
I
bad.
feel like he's fairly in shape enough that
Okay.
he's probably right about 200 pounds.
Okay, so let's break down this field before we get to prediction time when we talk about who we think our last 4 drivers are as well as who the first 4 out is. Let's look at, to me, in my opinion, I'll let both of them speak as well. It breaks down. You have four main guys, the 4 main title contenders: John, Logan, Sergio, and Taylor. You have the next group of guys that are battling for 5th that are always in the top 10. You're talking about Adam, Miles, Wes, Darren, Bill, Bruce, and Diego. And then you have the 5 guys that have the potential to be surprises that may not have broken through to get that podium yet. They're the 5 in this group that haven't had an A-main podium, but are just on the cusp. These are guys who run in the top 10 all the time. I'm talking about Jose, Tolman, Melissa Yanni, Feldkamp, and Ben Blank. Taylor, how do you see the field breaking down? Is it break down into tiers like how I see it, or is it just everyone is equally talented kind of thing?
I mean, I definitely think it's tiered a little bit. Obviously, that second group, the 5th through 11th, at any given time, any one of them can come out and win. But, I mean, that's going to come down to whether they stay in the chase until the final round, not whether they stay in the chase and maybe win one round. Because there's a reason why the top four are the top four. They've been up front every round this year.
Why do you go with the guy in thirds?
They've had that consistency. The only ones that have even really been close to that level of consistency would be Adam, who, I mean, had an excellent first half of the year. Hasn't had a bad second half.
He just hasn't been.
He's
doing
been
better.
at the back end of the top 10 rather than running 4th, 5th, 6th every round.
Andrew, let's talk about the top three, or the top four actually. Let's talk about John, Logan, Sergio, and Taylor. Logan's obviously coming back from touring Europe. John came back around before and was right up there in Classico. What makes you've hung out with the majority of those guys? What makes those four guys just that tier above the rest of the field?
They just go fast. They're just fast. I mean, Logan's got raw talent, just raw speed. I don't know where. I remember very clearly. I wasn't around all of 2013, 2012. It was just the Logan and Darren show. That's all it was, for the most part. And he's just got raw speed, Logan, and that's going to be his advantage. He's good on the technical track. Right now, he's doing the tag stuff. I think that's helping him, and I think that's helping him a lot. John, just Mr. Go-Kart, Johnny Go-Kart. He's just good. He's just always there. He's just good. Like, I don't know what else to say about him. He's just he just can figure things out. He's always calm. He plays a very similar approach.
He's nonchalant about
everything.
everything.
He plays a very similar role that I do. That when I do very well, I just don't even think. I'm just kind of driving in. People are like, "Oh, you remember when that happened?" No, I was just kind of driving. I just react based on what I see, and he does the same thing. Obviously, works for him. This other dude, just good. Wins sometimes. Yeah.
Has a title.
Yeah.
Has a title.
Yeah. Taylor, obviously, Harry Gant, basically, Mr. Consistency.
Doesn't have a title.
Doesn't have a title. Whatever that meant. He's just gonna be there. Like he did at Classico. He's gonna always be right there, the top 5. He got like 11,000 fourths or something stupid.
Something like that.
It's just
11,000.
what makes him good.
Over under maybe 5.
Yeah. I don't really know what makes you good. You're just, again, very easy to get through the field, very smart with how you work, very similar to John. I think John can be more relaxed, but you both have the same approach. Logan, when he needs to, he just goes to speed and just through the field. So that's, I don't know, all of them have their own little things that make them work.
All right. Well, let's go into what we think is going to happen in this next round. Let's first talk about the 4 drivers. Unfortunately, we'll talk about the 4 drivers that we think are going to get dropped first. The last few rounds have been a struggle for a couple drivers. My 4 drivers that I think are going to be out are Jose, Justin, Kirk, and I think we're going to have a surprise in there. One of the top guys. I think Diego's going to have a little bit of a tougher round. He just tends to have that round that pops up every once in a while.
Yeah, where he had a big man this year.
Yeah.
He got out of it, but still.
Yeah, that he has something that it's not. I'm not saying that.
Those top 4 have some luck.
Yeah.
And right now, they know that they have luck, so they're just kind of playing it cool.
And in this format, you don't even have to have a bad day. You just have to be in the back of the A. And considering you have to be in the top 12 to advance, all you need is all the other guys to be in the middle of the A, and that's it. It's just it come down to one bad heat race.
As soon as you have the guys in the chase that aren't in the chase stealing points away from you, while you see everyone else up at the front of the pack, that's all it's going to take.
Let's talk about what 4 drivers do you see as having as out in this next round?
I'm going to say the same in terms of Jose, Justin, and Kirk, unfortunately.
And we're looking at stats here at the same time. The reason that
we have no favorites.
Those 3 drivers
There's
are
no favorites.
they're the 3 drivers. Each of the last
no particular
2 rounds they've been outside the top 18 in points. And and when you deal with some of the other people like Blank, like Yanni, like Bruce, you're talking about people who have been in the top 15 the last 2 rounds that have that momentum on their side. We're not trying to pick on anybody here.
Yeah.
Man.
But I mean, looking at it, Jose, Justin, Kirk, and I mean, I do definitely think Diego gets through, because having two rounds outside the top 20 in a row, that's not something he does. He's going to come back with a vengeance. He's going to come back wanting to win. And with him, that's pretty much all it is, either win or go home. He doesn't need thirds, fourths, fifths.
Correct.
And when he's on his game, I don't think there's really anyone better. Unfortunately, I do think the fourth one out is Ben Blank, so I mean that does leave 4 of the bottom 5 coming in. The one that I do see going through is Alyssa Yanni. She does have that momentum right now that I definitely see her going through.
Yeah, she's been really good lately. And what 4 guys do you see is being out in this next round?
I will agree, first off, that I think Yanni's going to go through. Just because she's got pace. Where it's coming from, I don't know. I think that the tag experience, the Ironmans, the sprints, all that stuff, she's helping her.
Those laps add up.
Yeah, she's running more laps than probably anyone else out here, because she's running every single Ironman, every single sprint series, every super series, running PRD pilot.
And she's consistently been in the A main. She's moved herself from the middle of the pack.
Consistency is what's going to keep her in this.
Yeah.
She'll have like a 9th, a 10th, or something. You know, maybe she'll drop back a little bit,
But that's going to be enough to get her through the first round or 2.
So my 4, I'm going to go ahead and be very similar. I'm gonna go ahead and agree. Diego's going to go through. I'm going to see maybe Bruce. How did he do last round?
He was 14th last round and he podiumed 2 rounds ago.
Okay, so we've had a little bit of drop off compared to the podium. Because after that podium came right off of Grants, and he had that Friday that was just out of nowhere.
Yeah, he had
3 wins, 2 wins? And like
2 wins and a
He was
second.
sitting, what, 4th after?
Yeah, he was just in 4th.
So I think that helped him. We'll see how this next time. But I'm going to just say that maybe he just needs that momentum to get him going again. Him and even you are very momentum-based drivers. Once that breaks, it's just a little hard to get back into it. Tolman, I just kind of haven't seen him.
Yeah, Tolman had an excellent first half of the
Correct,
year.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was sitting 6th or 7th in points at halfway.
And I'm not worrying, like we said, we're not basing this off of, any, favorites or any particular affiliation that we want to see succeed, but we're just basing this off of, current results.
Off patterns,
Yes,
I have the numbers right
and
now.
I think, as much as people say, oh, I'm not momentum based, I just drive and drive, like, no. If you're on a hot streak, you keep it going. If you have that one slump, it's kind of hard to get yourself back up there. So what have I said? I've had Allen, Tolman, and I think Feldkamp just sometimes gets himself into some trouble. And I think it was 2 rounds ago. I think he did something. Who knows? Whatever. That's one of my.
He just casually runs into people at Grants. That's what happens.
Yeah, that's what it was. So I just don't know. I just don't see their consistency always there.
Who's your 4th?
It's hard.
Because we're talking about, we're splitting hairs here.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Ben Blank.
He is the last guy in the field.
I think Jose, he had a really good drive through the Ironman, nice solid drive.
He did. He was.
So I think he can just, as long as he does that again, he does it. But I'm very split between Jose and Ben, only because I just don't know where their consistency is going to be. And all the drivers I picked are drivers that I always see B main, A main, back of the A, middle of the B. That's why I pick those drivers. I watch enough of these races because I'm such garbage, then I can know, how their patterns work. It's very easy to, figure that out when you're always on the sideline.
All right, now let's be a little more cheerful. Let's pick the final 4 drivers and who we think are going to win. To me, it's going to be the top 2. It's your final 4 are going to be John, Logan, Taylor, and I think you get your defending champ Darren Mercer. As long as he makes every round, as long as he finishes out the season, I see him as a guy who is always up there.
What
if he doesn't, my pick would actually be Miles. I think Miles has been on it lately. He missed around, but other than that missed around, we're talking about he was third, seventh, tied for first in points, sixth and fourth.
His
I think
last
he's
day
I
at
think he's
Grants,
definitely.
look what happened. His last day at Grants, because the first day, him and Taylor were like, ooh, you guys gotta, kick it up.
Mhm.
And then Saturday they did. And then obviously Sunday they did with that big semi. That was a good semi. So he's somebody who had that momentum and has kind of been bringing it slowly. So I agree with that.
And for myself, the guy who I'm gonna predict to win is actually gonna be John Kimbrell. I think he takes it to Logan in that last A main. Maybe the championship's up for grabs. Maybe the championship's not up for grabs. But I think John takes it to him. And
Well, this is the championship format, right?
Yeah,
This is what CalSpeed runs.
This is actually the unofficial CalSpeed Championship. Yes.
This isn't. This
No. CalSpeed's not as
You
dumb
made
as
this
the
up?
other series. Yes.
Oh, I thought this was real.
I hate to bring it
Oh.
to you, Tinkerbell. Taylor, who are your final four drivers, and who do you predict as the champion?
All right. So last year we had the top four minus Logan because he wasn't full time, and we added Darren in.
Correct.
Um,
Which is exactly or almost exactly what I just.
good effort.
Yeah, good.
That's tough. I think Darren's gonna have a chip on his shoulder because he's got the 2 missed rounds. He's only sitting 8th in points.
Correct.
But I mean, look at Grant. There was no one better. He had an unfortunate incident, but there was no one better. I think Darren makes it into the finals.
Is there a raptor about to attack us? What the
No,
heck?
we're safe. We're safe.
We're safe. We're safe from raptor attacks.
Is that Davis?
Chris Pratt is going to save us.
He's beautiful.
Darren makes the final.
Okay.
I think I make the final just enough
Consistency.
because of consistency.
Yeah.
I think Sergio makes it because he's about as quick as anyone.
Yeah.
I don't see him having another bad round in the year.
I think that's
Mhm.
Sam.
I think even though he's leading the points, I think John's the one that would be left out going into the final
Now,
round.
why do you say you think he's most vulnerable to have a bad round, or?
Yes.
What are you saying?
He's so good when he's on, but he has had some bad luck this year.
You're right. He has
He's
that
had 2 finishes outside the top 20, which were both out of the A mains. That
That's all it takes in this, really.
yeah, exactly. One round out.
Yeah, I
of
mean,
the-
somebody.
Not only would he be out for the regular championship, but he'd also be out for the chase, which we all know that's the one that matters.
Correct.
Yeah,
Because
I
you
don't
get
even
beer.
know this other
You get
championship.
beer at the end of this
There's
one.
beer.
Yeah, who cares about a big
maybe a
trophy?
trophy or two.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know.
Like a Reese's peanut butter cup. You know,
Yeah,
something
I
cool.
think it's going to be Logan, Sergio, myself, and Darren.
And who do you predict as the champion?
Logan Cal.
All right. Andrew, who do you have as your final four, and who do you predict as the chase champion? The true CalSpeed champion.
The real CalSpeed champion.
Correct.
Yes, 'cause I don't know, whatever they're doing.
The other one, it actually
Something Mike and Patrick made up. I don't even know.
Exactly.
No one pays attention to it.
Yeah. This has more tradition. This is
Yes,
2 years.
This is 2 years. That's a very long time. I think that's as old as CalSpeed or something like that. Either way, I don't. I think you're right about Darren. He's going to come in and he's freaking nature, man. Like I remember 2012. Me and him were about.
Let's take a moment. Let's congratulate Darren on getting engaged.
Yes.
I think that definitely is
Yeah.
I think that's definitely motivation.
And his Snapchats are really funny.
His Snapchats
That's true.
are amazing. We may not be able to give him a larger party for his wedding, but definitely a 6-pack definitely would be worth it.
So, if he shows up, and and I completely understand. If when he does penalty stock or anything else, those are big commitments.
Absolutely.
If he shows up, he's in because he's going to be on it. He's going to know. Look at right out of Grants. Look who the top two were: Logan and Darren.
Correct.
The top two of that weekend, because someone ruined somebody's weekend. Anyways,
Who are your
Yeah.
other three?
Logan, obviously. I'm gonna go with Taylor. I think I'm gonna go with John. I think Bravo misses out. I think something happens. I always you see that happen. Look, not that his Ironman was bad, but if he gets left out like that, that's it. Maybe he gets in his own head. You know, there's a lot of drivers in this list that do that, and that might happen. But that's my pick only because he is blisteringly fast. He's probably the fastest guy. You know, him and Logan are tied. But I think I don't know. I don't know if he can be that consistent. I don't know. And I see, let's say Darren doesn't go, so I'm going to go and agree with you with Miles. You know, I love you, Adam, but Miles, he's on a mission. Whatever that mission is, I don't know. He wants to be in there, and he can do it. You know, we saw him at Classico. He was making passes. We didn't necessarily agree with him, but he was trying.
Yeah, he was trying.
He did it.
Yeah.
And some people were just sitting there happy. You know, just
it was fun to watch.
he doesn't settle. So I think he will go all out, and if he takes somebody out or something like that, there's a reason for a long. You know, when I used to compare everybody to F1 drivers for some stupid reason. I always compared him to Alonso because he could do some stupid passes, just crazy passes. I think that's fair. I know it's kind of complicated because I had to like put Darren in there, and then if he doesn't, you know, come to all the rounds, I didn't. But
no, that's fair. Some guys have other commitments and miss races. It's just what happens. We have a contingency plan. That's what T4 does best. We have a contingency plan.
yeah, we have backup plans.
So
Like bail money.
So with that, which we might need very
if
soon.
you don't go to Michigan.
We know who we're talking to. If you need us, you can call us. It may take us
Should have gone to Wisconsin, but that's fine. Anyways,
Wiring money to Michigan, which is like barely even the United States, takes some time.
Yeah, exactly. They're like a third world country.
the best thing they produced was Scott Steiner. He's, just an elegant man, just fantastic wrestler.
And with that, just that's pretty much going to do it for at least the preview. Any last thoughts from either of you gentlemen? I'd like to thank our sponsor, 805.
You mean Firestone Walker, because 805 isn't like a company.
Whatever. Paso Robles, beautiful city. They make good beer. Any last shots before we sign off?
I want to thank this really ugly bike that Sam bought. It's been fantastic, sitting next to me, very quiet and patient, like a small child. But it is horrendously ugly and terrible. But I want to thank it for being quiet, and Mountoon for giving Taylor a really cool exhaust.
Yeah, we do need to also
thanks Mountoon.
Yeah.
They've been awesome with everything.
Please sponsor us.
Yes. Congrats to Matt Jackson getting his win this weekend and finishing second. Please sponsor us.
Any last thoughts, Taylor?
9.
9?
9.
All right, with that, we sign off. We've only got a couple days left before round 9. And then let's see how this turns out. And here we go.